Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Weekly Medical Insights, the podcast where we break down the latest medical research into conversations everyone can understand. I'm Junming.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Ouyang.
Today, we're talking about Alzheimer's disease, a condition that affects millions of people worldwide and is one of the biggest challenges facing modern medicine. For years, scientists believed that Alzheimer's was mainly caused by the buildup of a protein called amyloid beta. But more recent research suggests there's another important player involved: neuroinflammation or inflammation inside the brain. To help us unpack this, we're joined by two researchers, Jingjin and Zayed.
Hello everyone.
Great to be here.
Alright, let's start with the basics. What is Alzheimer's?
Okay, so what is Alzheimer's? It is a progressive, irreversible brain disorder that slowly kills memory and thinking skills. It occurs when abnormal proteins deposit and build up, and it will kill the healthy nerve cells in our brain.
So I've heard that it is caused by amyloid plaques, but how does Alzheimer's disease actually develop?
So Alzheimer's disease develops very slowly, often over 20 years before symptoms even appear. One of the earliest changes is the buildup of a protein called amyloid beta. So these proteins will come together and form sticky plaques between the brain cells. People with inherited mutations in genes like the APP or PSEN1 almost always develop Alzheimer's, which tells us that the amyloid is a very important part of how the disease begins.
If amyloid is what started Alzheimer's, why has there been so much focus on inflammation over the last few years?
Because researchers noticed something interesting. Even after amyloid plaques stop increasing, people's memory can continue getting worse and the brain keeps shrinking. That tells us something else must be contributing to the damage, and one of the biggest suspects is neuroinflammation. Normally, immune cells in the brain, called microglia, protect the brain by clearing away waste. But in Alzheimer's, they stay switched on for too long, and instead of helping, they start releasing inflammatory chemicals that damage healthy brain cells.
Wow, that's fascinating. But how do researchers actually know inflammation is happening inside the brain?
We can now measure molecules in blood and spinal fluid called biomarkers. Some important ones are GFAP, YKL40, and STREM2. Studies have shown that people with higher levels of these biomarkers often experience faster brain shrinkage and more rapid memory decline. What's really interesting is that these inflammatory markers often predict disease progression better than amyloid levels once symptoms have already started.
So here's the obvious question. Does this mean that amyloid theory was wrong?
Actually, not at all. Most researchers will think that it's not an either-or situation. Amyloid is still believed to be the event that will start the disease, but once Alzheimer's gets going, inflammation seems to be the one that drives the damage forward. I would like to use the analogy of a campfire to explain it. Amyloid is like the spark that will light the fire, but neuroinflammation is the wind that keeps the fire burning and allows it to spread. Both matters, but they just play different roles.
That's a really helpful way of thinking about it. So what does all this mean for new Alzheimer's treatments?
Some of the newest drugs, like lecanemab and donanemab, remove amyloid from the brain, and that's a huge achievement because they do slow down disease progression. But the improvement is fairly modest. That suggests removing amyloid alone isn't enough once significant brain damage has already occurred. Researchers are now investigating combination therapies that target amyloid, inflammation, and another protein called tau at the same time. The hope is that tackling several disease processes together will have a much greater effect than just targeting one.
Wow, okay. So before we finish, what's the biggest message you'd like our listener to take away?
Okay, I would like to say that Alzheimer's is much more complex than we once thought. Amyloid is still incredibly important because it appears to trigger the disease, but inflammation isn't simply just a byproduct. Growing evidence will suggest that it actively contributes to brain damage as the disease progresses. Understanding how these two processes interact is one of the biggest challenges and also one of the biggest opportunities in Alzheimer's research today.
Wow, it's amazing how much our understanding has evolved over the last decade.
Absolutely. And hopefully that means better treatments in the future.
Yep, so that's all for today's episode of Weekly Medical Insights. Thanks to our guests for joining us, and thank you for all to listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week as we explore another topic from the world of medicine. Bye everyone.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
listening.